Welcome back to the Tavern Between Dimensions, the gift that keeps on giving.
Aww.
So we've just spent ages talking about how D&D is not overpoweredly broken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we spoke a lot about subclasses and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there are some trash subclasses, aren't there?
Oh, isn't there just? I can think of a few off the top of my head immediately.
There are some subclasses that call out desperately for home brewing.
Across all books, really.
Yeah, nothing Tasha's can do can save them.
If we're looking at the other side of the coin, right? Like some stuff is going to be good by comparison, some stuff is going to be not as good. And I think there's a number of reasons why that's the case. We kind of touched upon it in our previous segment, but I thought it would be fun if we all highlighted what we think is the worst subclass in play, why it's trash, and how we would make it not trash.
Okay. Yeah, I think of a class I would like to rag on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've mentioned it multiple times that one of my first ever characters was a barbarian, and barbarians hold a very special place in my heart. That being said, I might not actually end up playing a barbarian in the next campaign, but that's beside the point. Barbarians, there's one subclass which, when you look at barbarian, you think that class sounds like the barbarian I want to be. Like, if I'm thinking shirtless or at least like fur underpants, we're thinking like proper Conan the Barbarian. We think berserker. You think the Nordic berserkers. You think
trash.
Absolutely, but you're thinking Nordic berserkers. They used to fly into battle in their birthday suits, axe in either hand, and they would wreck the battlefield.
Barbarian berserker is 100% the saddest trash subclass, isn't it?
It's so disappointing because
it was like A for effort, E for execution. That's
its biggest letdown is the fact that you get hit with exhaustion when you trigger the ability frenzy, which basically gives you an extra again, you can choose to use it, but when you trigger it, yes, you get an extra attack as part of your frenzy, but the moment it runs out, you get hit by a point of exhaustion. Not just like you're a little bit tired, like what happens with haste. Like haste, you turn off for a round. No, you get hit with a point of exhaustion, which means already you are getting disadvantages on all your ability checks. Okay, granted, it's a barbarian. Like, they don't get many ability checks in the way of things. You know, granted, there's these things. They're there to look. They're there to look scary, and you know, maybe hold a door open with your strength 5 wizard.
You're now going to get disadvantage on.
You're now going to get disadvantage on it, and then suddenly you get into another really big battle where you have a horde of enemies, and you're like, berserker time! And then as soon as that runs out, your speed's halved.
Half speed.
And at lower levels, at this point, you need a fucking nap. But if you have a nap, you're going to come back to still having, like, disadvantage on ability checks. It just...
It's like the boxer that skipped cardio day.
Exactly. It really does. And I'm getting quite heated, I'm aware of it. But it really does... For that moment of coolness, that real moment of being, like... the blender, suddenly that's it. Until your next long rest, you're just there in the corner yawning. Like,
I feel like as a homebrew, you could just remove the exhaustion. Like, it won't change the subclass at all. It won't be overpowered. Like, if you just remove that thing.
Yeah,
I feel
it definitely is the weirdest part about it. But then as you kind of go on, it doesn't really get that much better. You know, okay, you can't be charmed or frightened when you're raging. Okay, cool, because you're meant to be the scariest thing in the room.
I mean, I suppose that is quite good, to be
fair, that's good. You know,
your party will be thankful that the raging barbarian can't be charmed.
Cold person will still
work.
Which works on every single barbarian ever.
Banish will still work.
Banish the whole person. Yeah.
To use the imagery that you get in the D&D movie trailer, the barbarian jumping through the air at the dragon, like that's a perfect example of mindless rage. You know, imitating presence. You can use an action to frighten someone. I'd rather use my action to kill someone rather than frighten them, you know? Because if I have an extra attack and I'm going to take a point of exhaustion for it, I may as well just, like, destroy them rather than scare them, because I think they're going to shit their pants when there's a blender barbarian coming at them anyway.
Does intimidating presence only work if you're raging?
No, I think it's
out of combat, right?
It's out of combat when you basically use your action to frighten someone.
All that's doing is counterbalancing the fact that you've already raged earlier that day, so you were getting disadvantage on those intimidation checks anyway.
Exactly.
Because Bertie the barbarian is a bit puffed and red in the cheeks.
Yeah, so it really doesn't. It's an skill. And finally, the capstone is if you take damage to the creature 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against it. Cool.
You're absolutely right. Like, it's a perfect example of you read the description of the berserker and go, that is 100% what the berserker is, and then you read the rules for it and go, that is 100% not what the berserker is.
Exactly.
It's just really, really punishing. Like, how would you want it? Like, what would you do to fix it if you were like running that game and someone plonked down berserker in front of you, or you wanted to play berserker?
Funnily enough, I think Wizards are actually already going to fix it, because we've talked about in our previous episodes. I'll make sure to throw a link up.
I mean, Wizards is listening to us. Is that why?
Well, they're changing the way exhaustion works. So there's more levels to exhaustion. And instead of having sort of these particular effects, like, I mean, here we go. I mean, this is the effects of exhaustion. Disadvantage on ability checks, then speed halved, then disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws.
That's bad.
Then your maximum hit points is halved. Then you have 0 speed, and then you're dead.
Then you die.
Yeah.
To be fair, if you manage to hit 6th level of exhaustion as a berserker, so you're on the floor, you're tucking out, you can't move, and you just you angry yourself to death.
Yeah, but what D&D 1 will be doing is they'll have, I can't remember how many different stages.
10.
It's 10. Each one gives you just a minus equal to level of exhaustion you have. Yeah. So it's a -1 to everything. It's then a -2 to everything. It's a -3. I think that's more manageable.
It's still punishing.
But it's not as punishing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have...
Which was like a -5.
Give or take, yeah. I mean, I would happily take a -1, maybe a -2, before I kind of go, oh, maybe I'll just control my anger for the rest of the day. But yeah, taking
it
away
more of a gambit.
Yeah, taking away a barbarian's movement, considering it's a character that gets up in your grill, and then giving you disadvantage on attacks like in quick succession. It just wrecks the class. Like, I get why they do it, but
they wanted a negative thing.
Yeah.
But and it's not the right one.
Also, doing the minus numbers based on the level of exhaustion means that intimidating presence suddenly has a bit more oomph to it, because you're not a knackered barbarian who's like, be very scared of me. You actually have a bit more oomph, because it'll be a -1, it'll be a -2, which means, again, advantage and things can negate that almost. You're not having to use advantage and negate the disadvantage you're getting. You can actually get advantage on these things. So it fixes that one. And I still think retaliation is a bit using a reaction. And as we know from 1D&D, they're going to be adding a much better reaction economy. I think that capstone needs something more like a flurry of blows or something. Like, that sounds more berserkery to me. Why is it just like you're rescuing your party members when they get hit? You're a berserker. You're meant to be getting hit and then being like blender.
If you could attack as a reaction to being hit.
Yeah. Just
like the archetypal, you see, like the baddie headbutts the hero, and then the hero headbutts him back harder.
Exactly. You could call it eye for an eye, which is fundamentally the idea of a berserker was like, they fight until they've got they're covered in scars, and then they just keep fighting. Yeah. It's just it's that exhaustion I think ruins it, and I think 1D&D is going to fix it. So I don't think I can fix it. I think Wizards might be accidentally fixing it. That might make this rage-fueled monster actually viable.
I think it's also kind of interesting how I think part of the reason why Berserker doesn't seem great is because in the same book, it was sat opposite the Totem Warrior
Yeah.
Barbarian, which is more defensive based because you get resistance against everything, but somehow that makes the Barbarian more scary in an offensive output
Yeah.
because now this character's doing a tremendous amount of damage and won't stop.
Yeah, and think about the changes to 2-weapon fighting as well. Like, just imagine how intimidating this blender barbarian will be in the future. But I've ranted long enough. I'm going to pass the buck to Anton.
Right. I don't have a specific subclass to nitpick on. Oh, actually, no, I do, but Dan's going to discuss those. We know. But for me, wizard, all the wizard subclasses are appalling.
Yeah, they're just very good, are they?
I remember like debating which wizard subclass I would create a character on, and it literally did not matter because whatever they gave you was trash, except the sculpt spell. Wait, that is wizard, right? Sculpt spell.
Evocation sculpt spell.
Mhm.
Yeah, evocation sculpt spell because then you can fireball all you want. That's cool. The rest, it's really very anemic, weak, and it focuses on a specific school of magic, and which you only use part of the time for, and then the skill is even more circumstantial.
I think, well, I'm gonna butt in and say divination wizard with the free rerolls, like
Those,
pre,
yes, that is good.
pre-rolled, I should say.
Yeah.
Like,
that is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, but no, you're absolutely right. Like, if you play a transmutation wizard,
terrible.
Yeah,
I
transmutation is just.
it does, like the whole transmuter stone thing. Like, it does a thing, doesn't it? Like, it does. It lets you be a druid light, and it lets you muck around with things. But I think part of the problem is, Anton, if you were to play like a transmutation wizard, what would you expect your spell book to be filled with?
Transmutation spells.
And I think that's the problem.
I would want to be able to like change matter, like
right?
on like a deep level, and
like a Full Metal Alchemist, like equivalent exchange and all that.
Actually, the Order of Scribes wizard or something like that can actually change the spell type.
Why on earth can't the transmute wizard do that?
I don't.
Yeah.
They probably had. That's why they call the Order of. I think it's Order of Scribes.
Order of Scribes.
And it just sounds like nothing. But actually, what they actually meant is Order of Transmutation, but we can't call it that because we already changed it. Which is a really great ability. It's like, yes, you're a Frost Fireball, fantastic. Whatever, changing all your spells up, burning ability. It should just be Transmutation.
Yeah.
I have a particular niche to pick with my War Wizard that I played in the Peace campaign.
You can rag on your own class.
Yeah, I did because I thought, this is great, and actually trash. Arcane Deflection, okay, you get a bonus to your AC or your saving throws. I think it's +4. Okay, you do sacrifice. You can only cast cantrips. Okay, the plus to AC was kind of redundant because I could just use shield. But the bonus saving throw was good. That was occasionally useful in the right circumstances if I didn't want to cast Fireball that next turn. So occasionally good. Tactical Will, Intelligence to Initiative, that was good. There's a 6th level feature called Power Surge, right? So you start with a surge, right? And whenever you cast Dispel Magic or a Counterspell, you gain a surge. So you can go up to 2 or even 3. And that surge does proficiency bonus damage to 1 spell. So that feature gives you +2, +3, +4 damage. +3, +4, yeah. That's it. You have 1. You have 1, and then you maybe get another one. So you've done +6 damage with this thing? Like, if you're lucky, it's the most trash thing ever. It was so useless, I never used it.
I suppose, you would never... Like, it's not to say that you're spending that 2nd or 3rd level spell slot to cast Dispel Magic or Counter Spell so you get a surge. But, like,
it's like
being told...
Great, I can add 3 damage to this spell. It's like, I guess I'll do it. Am I excited? No.
Because, the whole War Wizard gist is like, it's the perfect balance of... like offense and defense, right? Like it's supposed to be the halfway point between an evocation wizard, abjuration wizard. Like, even if it was just like, oh, you get a surge, you can apply that plus to all of the targets here. So like you stop a fire.
You're right. It was one target. Yeah.
Yeah, if you like dispel a fireball and then go my turn and then throw a fireball, and if that did 3 extra damage to everyone that was hit, that would I get it. I get it.
Like,
But
even if it was
right.
like a D6, right? Or that would have been more exciting than proficiency bonus damage.
That's what absorb elements is, right? Like you do like an extra D6 damage, like, and even that, that feels
that's rarely used though as well.
Yeah.
So, anyways, wizards have an issue is that they're just too good at everything they do that the subclasses just are not.
Yeah, the subclasses always feel like an afterthought with wizard, because just wizard is so good with everything. The subclass is like, oh, we actually need something with them. I don't know. We'll give them a stone that they can lick once a day, and it makes their. It's like a 9-volt battery. It just makes their tongue tingle.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if wizard subclasses should not be based on schools of magic. Right, I feel like there could be something there. I don't know how it would pan out otherwise, but
I mean, there is a part of me that thinks maybe part of the problem is the number of spells available. I can't remember the exact schools off the top of my head. I believe it's if you add up like illusion, enchantment, and I want to say transmutation. I could be wrong. But if you add up all of those 3 schools worth of magic, those 3 schools worth of spells, they are still outnumbered by evocation spells.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're trying to take a wizard that isn't necessarily a bing bang boom wizard, like if you want to play the illusion or the enchantment wizard, that's a bit more subtle.
You have one spell in like each spell level that does things.
Yeah,
like basically, same with enchantment and illusion, they have one spell.
Yeah, I'll hide it in an illusionary box and then throw a fireball. Like, it just, like, you're not really gaining anything that screams illusion wizard. Sure, you get your, like, evocation gets the sculpt spells and enchantment gets the silver tongue. Whatever. It's like you can use them once or twice a day. Whereas the evocation wizard, for example, is just lobbing death from like dusk till dawn. Like,
so there you go. Yeah, that's my take on wizard. Dan, I'm quite interested in yours because I also have a.
Yeah, because I also wanted to pick this class, and during our prep, you were like, "No, it's mine."
No, it's mine. So this one, this one's close to my heart. I think the most trash subclass is the fighter Purple Dragon Knight.
Okay.
I'm not too familiar with that one actually.
I don't think anyone is, to be honest, Anton.
Is it in Xanathars? Hold on.
No, it is Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide.
It is, but they didn't reprint it, did they?
They did not reprint it, probably for the best.
What does it do?
Okay, so it's the Purple Dragon Knight. It's because Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide is obviously the Forgotten Realms centric book. It was named as the subclass from Cormier. So yeah, it was one that I was very interested in. But then you read through it, and it's just a bit sad. For non-Forgotten Realms, they called it the Banneret. The whole idea of the Purple Dragon Knight subclass is that your fighter becomes a bit more of a support character. So it's things like when you use your second winds to give yourself back hit points, some allies near you can also regain a small number of hit points equal to your level. You that like at 7th level, you gain proficiency in animal handling, insight, intimidation, or performance. So like the knightly abilities. And like samurai falls into a similar trap.
Is that it? Is that what you get with Purple Dragon Knight?
Oh, so and you get expertise in whatever you choose if you
Oh,
so
terrible.
it's very, very similar to what samurai gets, but you're level 7 at this point, and you're only now becoming good at stuff that other classes have been good at since level 1.
Yeah.
You know?
I did find that weird with my samurai, was suddenly like first level ability was great, and then suddenly that was it. Like the 7th level, okay, cool, yeah, I got wisdom saving throws, but just it didn't get good again until 14.
Yeah.
Well, Arcane Archer and Samurai suffer from the same issue. Is the scaling is just awful.
They don't do what they should do.
Because their abilities recharge on a long rest.
Yeah.
And so they can do, I don't know, 4 things. They can use that ability 4 times per long rest. So you have a fight, you use your thing a few times. That's it. You're done for the day. And then you're a regular fighter that hits.
Yeah, fundamentally.
At level 10, when you use your action surge, so bear in mind you get that once of short rest.
Once of short rest, yeah.
An ally can make an attack.
That it?
And then at level 15, you can, when you use Indomitable, which lets you like re-roll a save, you can like basically hand that out very loosely.
God.
I see what they're trying to do, but you look at that and go,
Fun.
I don't want to have to wait until level 7 to be a good knight, like to be a good diplomat knight, like to be good in royal courts. And I think it's more stark for me because Karl and I, we started playing in 4th edition. 4th edition had the warlord class, which was a class that I was fascinated by. So it was to use their terminology, it was a martial leader, which is to say a martial healer. So this is this is effectively like a fighter waving a big flag, telling you to walk off your broken leg.
If you think about it in terms of like quickly going to like Warhammer again, the standard bearers. Yeah, you're a standard bearer.
And like that class was all about being sort of like the back line or midline fighter, commanding your allies, bolstering them, like being a force multiplier. And that was a really interesting niche for like the sword and board style character. And it seems that that's kind of what they're trying to do here with the Purple Dragon Knight. It just like there's nothing here that, like, when I went to play Vassell, my half-elf Cormyrean Purple Dragon Knight in Curse of Strahd, I wanted to play Purple Dragon Knight Fighter. I wanted to. And every time I looked at it and went, there's nothing here that I cannot do better as a paladin.
Or as a battlemaster.
Or literally. I mean, Battlemaster literally has a healing, a rallying cry.
Can do defensive, can do offensive, it can do it all. On a short rest. And a Battlemaster, you can do 4 things on a short rest. So why does Samurai and Arcanation do 4 things on a long rest?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. And also, Samurai, you're better off just taking like 1 or 2 dips into Barbarian, and then you can reckless attack, which is better than, well, identical to their advantage mechanic when hitting, although you do get it back. And you're raging, so you get half damage.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's never made sense to go Samurai for me.
There's just so much in this class, and like we've lived in Cormyr for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So what I know of the Purple Dragons is that the reason why the Purple Dragons are such a feared military force is because of their seamless cohesion. And there's no cohesion here. Like, even if this fighter, if at level 3, the entry level thing for the banneret was if you get pack tactics.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge rule, I appreciate. But just something like that. You can bonus action help at range. So you're telling your allies how to fight better.
Which we like the mastermind, which is
a bit like.
Which, again, the mastermind's another one which, if we had time, we could probably go into.
Yeah. It's just a shame because I guess this is the other side of the coin, right? Like there are some classes that the theme and the fantasy of the subclass is there, and then you just look at it and go,
mechanics or not,
yeah.
Really? Like, I really love to play an Arcane Archer just to dunk on fighter a bit more, but
I have a fix for that. I think Arcane Archer can use 4 arrows, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
I would remove one of the arrows and make it reset on a short rest.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
That
like,
would not be overpowered.
Same with Samurai. Like, Samurai's ability is so good, but again, you're right. Once you've used it, it just turns off. That's it. You lose it, and then much in the same way as Purple Knight, you have to wait to 7th level to be that knightly, respectable person. And if it was proficiency per day, and then maybe recovering on a short rest, maybe Samurai might get a bit more use.
Yeah.
But Dan has something to say.
Do you want to know what my fix for Arcane Archer would be?
What's that?
What?
When they pull the string back on their bow, an arrow magically appears. It does magical damage.
Yeah. Oh, like the archer from
Like,
the Dungeons
that's
and
a
Dragons
fantasy.
cartoon, isn't it?
That's the fantasy. Like I don't have to carry arrows, and and then sure, you've got some special funky arrows, and sure, you only might have 4 of them a day, but
Trick arrows.
Oh, every shot is magical because I'm an arcane archer.
Become the Hawkeye of the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, but in terms of banneret,
Yeah.
Dragon, I don't think it's savable. Like it just needs a whole.
Gag is a
whole
really
overrun.
early release of.
I think Wizards were being really cautious when they did Skag, Sword Coast Adventures Guide, because there's a lot of duff subclasses in there. Sun Monk. But it's a shame because they're also some of the most evocative subclasses.
Yeah.
Oh well. Thank you for watching. If you're enjoying what we're doing here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to check out the other videos here on the Explorers of Elsewhere channel, because we're awesome.